economic growth, and it will cover a few things other than economic growth which are relevant to economic growth. For example, recession, GDP, money GDP, real GDP per head, lag markets, subsistence economies, and circular flow of income, negative economic growth, advantages and disadvantages of economic growth. So we start with the basic definition of economic growth. So we say that an increase in the GDP. And remember students that GDP is the value of goods and services you are producing in an economy in a particular period of time, span of time. Generally, yearly it is calculated. So when we talk about only economic growth, we have to tell two things to the examiner, that it is the increase in the GDP and number two, increase in the productive capacity of the economy. It means that ability to produce more goods and services will be improving in the economy over a period of time, of course. So it is all about the output which you are producing, and of course then you will value them according to the market prices, and sometimes we adjust them for inflation also, so that becomes the real GDP. Okay, actual economic growth, what you are achieving right now in an economy, how much the percentage increase in the value of goods and services currently. For example, if we talk about 2022, then whatever we are getting this year, the increase that will be considered as our actual economic growth. But the potential economic growth may be more important, because that will tell us that what is the real value and worth of that economy, how much it can grow further in the future. And that is related to the productive capacity. It depends on what type of goods, capital goods. If you are producing more capital goods, chances are that you will have more potential GDP, higher potential economic growth as well. Nominal or money GDP, you just consider whatever you have produced, the output which you have produced according to the current market prices. But when you adjust it for inflation, that means that you are calculating the real GDP. GDP can be used to calculate GDP per head. It means that the total GDP in an economy produced by the economy divided by the total population. So that is GDP per head. That is also known as the per capita income. And other than that, when we talk about the real GDP per head, you just have to decrease, subtract the rate of inflation out of it. And I have written over here something more convenient for you to remember. Real GDP per head is increase in the money GDP per head and minus the rate of inflation. That will give you the real picture of the economy, because you have considered what was the rate of inflation. Sometimes the GDP is growing by 5% and the prices are increasing by 8%. So it means that there will be a negative factor involved because the rate of inflation is high. So money GDP may not give you the real picture, but the real GDP or real GDP per head will be a more realistic comparison. Which is better, GDP per head or real GDP? Of course, the real GDP per head, because it considers inflation as well. Problems in calculating the GDP. The first problem, specifically for the less developed countries, are the presence of the black markets. We call those markets as black markets where the documentation is not there. The government is not collecting any taxes from there. So the things which are smuggled from other countries are shown in that particular market. So that is a black market. So no documentation, no taxes. So the calculation will not be there in that case. It will not be recorded, that black market. And then there is a subsistence economy. Subsistence economy means that, for example, a farmer is cultivating the crops, but he is using the entire crop or the output for his family only. He is not selling it. So it means that no record, no earnings, no profit, no loss, nothing is there. So that will also not be calculated as the GDP. Then we have double counting. Sometimes if the data collection is not proper, then or the specialist data collectors are not there, then what happens that it will always be a chance that you will double count the production or the output or any particular income of the producer. So that can also be a problem. Then small producers, maybe the registration fee for a business is very high in that economy. So the small producers think that we have to hide ourselves from the government and we are not going to register. So that output is also economic activity is unregistered. So it will not be part of the GDP. These are some of the problems in calculating GDP we can experience. Recession. Recession is the opposite of economic growth. And in recession, there is a fall in the GDP. And we know that we have already discussed that recession should continue and consistent for 6 months or more, then it will become a recession. And if the recessions are going to continue in an economy, it will create a slump, and that is more dangerous basically, because it is difficult to get out of that slump. It will take a lot of efforts and resources from the government. Then the two major causes, this question can be given that what are the causes of recession in the economy. Up till now they have not asked, but they can fall in the total demand. If there is no demand in the economy, producers will be demotivated. And why there is no demand in the economy or less demand, people don't have the money. So the economic activity is very limited. Or there is a decrease in supply. Natural disaster, something like a lockdown situation for example, and the economy will go into a recession, will go into a recess if there is a decrease in the total supply. Maybe the producers are demotivated, law and order situation is not good, anything can happen. I have started with the demerits of economic growth because it is easier to write the advantages of economic growth. But what are the disadvantages or negative effects? The negative effects include the demand pull inflation. We know that the total supply of the economy will be priced inelastic in the long run, no matter how good your economy is. So the demand it will be more than the supply at one time, and that will create demand pull inflation because people have money because of the economic growth. Depletion of resources, and overheating of the economy. So if the industrial activity is too much, it's very high, of course you are using your resources at a very fast pace. So the economists consider not the economic growth, but the sustainable economic growth should be the right way to move ahead. And what is sustainable economic growth? You are going to increase the GDP, but considering conserving the resources for the future generation as well. So it means that you are not harming the environment. Of course, students, there will be some pollution because of the industrial activity. You want to reduce it. If you can reduce it successfully, then you are going to achieve sustainable economic growth. Why do we need sustainable economic growth? Because you need to save something for the future as well. Because if you exhaust your resources too quickly, nothing will be there for the future. Okay, overheating of the economy, pollution means external costs can be created in those economies, especially the less developed countries, because they don't have the production methods, the environment friendly methods. They want to achieve growth at 6%, 7%. It will create pollution, and that will decrease or have a negative effect on the living standards. So traffic congestion is also will be very common in those countries where there is high rates of economic growth. People are working, jobs are, the economic activity is high, lot of transportation, and people are moving from here to there in search of jobs as well. Advantages: more jobs, decrease in poverty, more tax revenue for the government, obviously better living standards, then political image, a better political image. The countries which are achieving high economic growth, every other country will respect that country. And the IMF will be willing to give you the loans on easy terms and conditions because they know that your economy has some great potential. So you will pay back the loans easily. And you have the voting power in the IMF. For example, you have a conflict with some other country. You have the voting right. If loan is to be given to that country with which you are having a conflict, then what will happen? You can vote against that country. So that power you will get when you are economically strong. Methods to calculate GDP: output method, expenditure method, and profit or income method. So you calculate the total output which is produced by all the producers and the government in the economy, how much money they have spent, or their income or profit. So you calculate this, it means that you are calculating the GDP. And then the role of the IMF, International Monetary Fund, which was established in 1944. And at that time the Second World War just ended, so the entire world needed some sort of the financial or economic stability. So the Big Ten countries, including US, Japan, UK, they have contributed funds, and then from there they have started giving loans to other countries to be stable. What is their return? The rate of interest which they will charge on the loans, and that profit will be distributed among the members, the leading members. So the IMF basically helps solving countries like Pakistan to solve the problem of balance of payments deficit and continuous balance of payment deficit. We are a chronic nation when it comes to the balance of payment deficit. Our deficit is multiplying basically. Who is going to help and who has helped up till now? The IMF. And there are other clubs as well which are known as, for example, the Paris Club, or some developed countries going to give you the loan. Okay, circular flow of income. How the output, income, is moving from one economic agent to another economic agent. For example, when the producers produce an output, goods and services, they will sell to the consumers. The consumers will buy them and give money to the producers. From that money, producers will give wages to the people. From the wages, the people will spend the money in the economy. It's a circular flow. So the money is changing hands from one economic agent to another economic agent. If the economic growth rate decreases, will the output decreases? For me, this is a very good question which can be made in the MCQ. No, the output is going to increase, but at a slower or comparatively lower rate of growth. So it means that the output is increasing in quantity, right? But not at the previous percentage increase before it was increasing. That is the difference. Negative economic growth is entirely, related to economies which are not self-sufficient, totally dependent on other countries, and their production activity is very limited. Their production ability is also very limited. They are using old dated technology. Things are not happening for them. So you can go into a worse situation. For example, in 2020, for example, a country is growing by 4% GDP growth rate. And in 2022, because of certain issues, natural disaster, law and order situation, wars, they have got a -3% GDP growth rate. And that means that actually your GDP has shrunk. You are producing lesser goods and services now as compared to the previous years. Example I have given over here. GDP, for example, 4,000 in 2021, and the GDP is decreased by 3,000, like 3,000 in 2022. Percentage decrease when you calculate, automatically you will get a negative sign, and that will be negative 25%. So these are just the example which I have given you over here. Okay, so this was your economic growth.